Coming to you live from Ireland, masquerading as Scotland, it's the 10 Point Podcast. My name is Bruce, and I see a whole army of our listeners here in defiance of tyranny. Listen and you may die. Switch off and you'll live, at least a while. And dying in your beds many years from now, would you be willing to trade all the days from this day to that for one chance, just one chance, to come back here and tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they'll never take the 10 Point Podcast 100th episode spectacular?
Hey, happy birthday, 10 Point Podcast.
My countrymen here on the battlefield with me today. First, some men are longer than others. It's Chris.
Alba Gubrath.
Ah, very good. Scotland forever, I believe that means. And secondly, before we finish the show this week, he'll put his head between his legs and kiss his own arse. It's Andy.
I can totally do that.
Keep that as a cliffhanger, keep everybody tuned. We are the 10 Point Podcast. You can find us on all your podcast feeds, regardless of which.
If I don't swear.
Right, good luck. Yes, wherever you find your podcast. Dogma disappeared last week. It should be back. Keep an eye out for that if you haven't heard it yet.
I think the Christians took it down, but I'll get it back up.
Maybe we got it banned.
Death
the
to
banned
Christianity.
Episode. Yeah. So if you've not heard Dogma yet, it's around. Check YouTube. It's still on there if you're struggling otherwise.
YouTube don't care about Christians.
Nah, I think about anything on there. They're going to be showing 100 bare arses for a whole hour plus, which is probably going to get us taken off YouTube. But we'll see how that goes. Yeah, YouTube as well. Social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, 10 Point Podcast in there. Send us messages, send us requests, send us reviews. Anything abusing us for hating religion, send to Andy directly. What have you been watching in the last week before we get on to this week's episode? I have not watched a single.
I just realised the sheer panic on Chris's face there because I don't think he remembers what he watched.
I don't can watch anything.
I have not watched any films again. I've only been the TV. So Andy, have you watched anything special this week?
No, I was going to go watch Lightyear, and then I decided that's too far. Fuck it. Petrol prices do not worth me going to get it.
Do you have to go to Infinity and Beyond to watch it? Is that why it was too far?
I was like, I got the tickets booked and everything. I was like, right, I'm gonna go watch this. Launch day on Friday, and I was like, wait there. The little twats will be out of school, so it's gonna be full of kids. So I was like, nah, fuck it. And then I'll go at the weekend. And then I was like, nah, petrol prices went up 2p. Not worth it.
And everybody will be out there.
Yeah, and I was like, it's just kind of that's as far as I've got with going to watch a new film. So I have literally watched Sweet Hee Haw.
Right. Anything TV wise then?
Just finished Obi-Wan, polished that bad boy off, and Miss Marvel.
I'm going to try not to rant too much about Obi-Wan. So if anyone's got anything nice they want to say,
well, I can say something nice about it. What a wasted opportunity that was. I like Ewan McGregor. He was pretty good in it.
He was.
Everybody else was kind of shit. Hayden Christensen just turned up, rocked a paycheck for fucking no reason at all. It was almost up there as bad as going, no. It's like, just give me James Earl Jones's voice. I don't need a hybrid voice. That can fuck right off. And also, don't give me about 1,000,001 more loopholes to try and fit in A New Hope. I never needed another season to know what the fuck happens.
I would argue that was at the good end of the Hayden Christensen acting scale. I think some of his best stuff might have been that 30 seconds he had with his face poking out. But yeah,
that was, by the way, all the good stuff I had to say about that.
That's all good, all the thumbs up.
Yeah.
My actual opinion, I almost went through and watched it again, but I flicked through on the little timeline. I think you can put on the first episode of Kenobi, get the general gist of what's happening, watch that episode. If you then skip the next 4 and watch the last one, you can very easily just piece in everything in between, and that's the interesting bit. And you actually don't. There's nothing essential to watch, nothing you need to see. Nothing I'm like, oh, you should totally see the bit where or the bit when. Just skip out the middle 4 episodes and get the idea of when we are and where we are and who's in it, because you have to introduce Reva. Then you can miss out her entire nonsensical, irrelevant storyline that doesn't actually mean anything going on.
I'm going to probably get us cancelled here, right?
Oh, no.
Right. Reva has had a lot of bad press, okay?
Yes.
Now, I want to put it on the record of, it's not because she's black. It's because her character sucks balls.
It's not to do with her. She's probably actually quite good.
Yeah. She plays a crazy, demented... That's how I imagine a crazy, demented Jedi.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I didn't give a shit about the character one bit. I wanted more actual Grand Inquisitor, even with his weird looking head that doesn't look anything like the cartoon.
Yeah.
Why didn't I just why add her into it?
Yes, exactly.
Like, it is a case of why. I don't get it. I don't understand it. She wasn't needed. Ewan McGregor can go and defend her all she wants. If you're a racist cunt about her, shame on you. She's just shit.
The character.
Yes. Reva is shit and not needed.
I still don't understand how she survived being stabbed through the chest with a lightsaber. Like, this lightsaber has gone down and infected.
Spoiler alert. Did she get stabbed in the chest? Okay, so Grand Inquisitor gets stabbed in the chest, seems to be away for maybe a week and a half, probably in a bantha tank, getting fixed. Did she get stabbed in the chest and teleport to Tatooine?
Yeah, she on this planet where she is not only doesn't know anybody, but is the enemy of an enemy of anybody who's left on that planet. Somehow gets from that planet to Tatooine.
Exactly.
And way ahead of like gets there so quickly that Kenobi directly goes to another planet for a fight, and then has to it's still chasing her through the rocks and all stuff of Tatooine. It's like, how did she get there so quickly from like dead to a different planet? It made no sense.
And then also have a conscience near the end and went, fuck it. And it's like, that was the point. I was like, actually, I'm intrigued with her character up until this point. And I'm like, she's going to die. Right. She's going to be the one that cuts Owen's legs off. Right. This all makes sense. This explains that. None of that happened. And I was just left going, what the fuck?
Her getting to the end and being like, to the end, I thought she's going to go kill Anakin Skywalker's son to finally get revenge on him. Seemingly, that's not what she was doing, because they're still trying to play off that she doesn't know that's Anakin Skywalker's son. Nobody does. And then he doesn't know that she's a Jedi coming to kill her because of who her dad is, just so they can keep the continuity going. She just wanted to get revenge on Obi-Wan. She gets there, I'm not going to kill this child. And Obi-Wan's like, that's fine. You've repented for the thousands of children you've killed in the last 10 years, whatever it is, working for the Sith. It's like, that's not how this sort of stuff works. But yeah. The
only way they could have fixed it was at the very end, you see, like, Ewan McGregor going away in his weird camel. And then suddenly you just see another red lightsaber come out, and then another lightsaber come out, and everybody would just went, Darth Maul! And that would have been it. That would have ended it, and I would have been happy with that. But I didn't even get that. I got Liam Neeson wearing a weird fucking wig that looked horrendous.
I was just drawn to his beard, and I'm like,
it was half fallen off. It was just like, what the fuck? TV budgets.
I enjoyed him. I actually did enjoy Obi-Wan versus Darth Vader. I thought that was actually
that fight was good.
Yeah, but yeah,
I like that. But yeah, shit, pointless.
I'm not excited about a second series of it, which there's rumors they're maybe going to do. As long as it's Obi-Wan goes and flies off in a galaxy not quite as far away, and then does a whole bunch of stuff, and then comes back again. I don't want anybody else.
See a Darth Vader series. I want to see him.
I would watch that. Yeah, I want to see him training like secret apprentices. Maybe call it like, I don't know, Darth Vader Unleashed or something like that. It'd work.
I want to see his little castle thing.
We've seen a bit of it.
Yeah, I want to see more of it.
A tour of it.
A rant over.
We'll talk so much about that. The Boys, still the best TV show on TV at the moment. It's
amazing.
So that's me. Chris, what have you watched in the last week?
You have covered it pretty well there. Andrew's little rant sorted that out.
Okay, I thought you might have said something. So does this mean you have or haven't watched Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness? Yes.
No, I forgot it was coming out. I'm going to watch it tomorrow.
Right, cool. I won't
after the Boys.
We'll mention that next time then, because I thought you might have watched.
Always after the Boys. Boys always takes precedent.
Yeah.
Because it is the best show on telly.
It is. I didn't mention this before last. It is the best satire on television that I watched. Like, it really satirizes current events better than anything else that I watch. So I very much enjoy it.
And we need to give a shout out to Sean, who's powered through the 2 seasons and is now almost up to date.
He nearly died watching that scene from The Termite.
Right.
Amazing.
Right. Okay, on to the point of the podcast this week then. Point number 1 on the podcast. The 1995 biographical historical war drama Braveheart.
I'll use that term loosely.
Yes, there's a couple of loose terms in there. It's the 100th episode. This is the most famous Scottish film of all time. We are 3 Scottish podcasters talking about films, so Braveheart is our number 100. Brought to us by Icon Productions and the Lad Company. Icon Productions mainly makes Mel Gibson films, so I'm assuming he's involved with it, and Spice World the movie. I had to mention that. And the Lad Company did Blade Runner, and specifically Police Academy 1 and 2. And there's not much else aside from that from those production studios. Written by Randall Wallace, no relation. He, in the 1980s, was on holiday in Scotland, with him being of Scottish descent, and he was in Edinburgh. He saw a statue of William Wallace, was intrigued that this guy had the same surname as him, did some investigating, and ended up writing a movie script based on the legends and all that of William Wallace. So this was his first major breakout writing credit thing. He then went on to write and direct The Man in the Iron Mask, the Leonardo DiCaprio one from the 90s. He then wrote Pearl Harbor, the Ben Affleck one, wrote and directed We Were Soldiers, and then was the director of Secretariat, the horse racing movie. And then that's pretty much it. He didn't do a hell of a lot else. Other than that, did Randall Wallace. Braveheart, directed by and starring as William Wallace, Mel Gibson. You may have heard of him. He was Mad Max in Mad Max 1, 2, and 3. He was in the Lethal Weapon series, which I believe there's 4 movies of, unless there's a 5th one that isn't on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
No, there is a 5th one coming out, apparently.
Right, okay. So he's one of the 2 main guys. He was in Maverick. That was his last big film before making Braveheart, which he wrote and starred in and directed, I should say. Then he was in Ransom, Conspiracy Theory, Chicken Run, and Signs. And that kind of brought around the end of his acting career. He then directed Passion of the Christ, directed Apocalypto. Basically came out of retirement after not acting for about 10 years, was in Machete Kills, which jumped out at me, and he directed Hacksaw Ridge, and the last film that I put on this list was Fat Man, because remember Andy talked about it a lot before it was coming, where he plays Santa. Co-starring as King Edward I, or Longshanks, which took me a long time to connect the two within the film, because I got quite confused. Patrick McGoohan, or McGoohan, I don't know how you say his name, Paddy McGoohan. He's famous for being in the television shows Danger Man, and he was the prisoner in The Prisoner, the classic kind of 70s, I think, television show. He was in Escape from Alcatraz. He was in Scanners. He was not the guy whose head exploded, but that's the famous scene everyone knows from Scanners. And then he was in Braveheart, and then he was in A Time to Kill as well, which sounds like a Bond film, but is not a Bond film. My assumption would be he did a lot of stage acting around about that, because he acted for a long, long time, but wasn't in an awful lot of films. And he was King Edward I. And thirdly, as Princess Isabel, the Princess of Wales, we have Sophie Marceau. First became famous because of The Party, which is a French thing, so it's not called The Party, but that's the English translation. This was her major movie worldwide breakout in Braveheart. Then she was in The World Is Not Enough, which is pretty much the last thing I ever knew she was in.
Oh, yeah.
And the next biggest thing was LOL Laughing Out Loud, and a bunch of other stuff, some French language, some not. But basically, Sophie Marceau was in Braveheart and The World Is Not Enough in the mid to late 90s, and that's her career. Braveheart. This is quite a strange selection of numbers here. On a budget of $72 million in 1995, which strikes me as a hell of a lot of money for back then, opened in the US. Opened in the US for just $10 million. And I'm like, okay, right. It's one of those ones where no one really knows what it is, but it'll get a bit of steam. Film still got a steam back then and build up. Final US gross, just $75.5 million. So a lot of money, but it's just its budget back again. Final worldwide gross, $213 million. So the UK had like $20 million. Germany had about $16 million. But it just seems to be every country in the world was a little bit excited about Braveheart, a little bit interested in spending it. Just because if every country spends $5 million, that's a lot of money that comes up. Yeah, not so big in America, but huge worldwide. Released on my 10th birthday, the 24th of May 1995 in the US, and released on the 8th of September 1995 in the UK. It means it was in the 1996 awards season. I think the MTV Movie Awards might be a different year, but I didn't double check. But either way, it was represented at every single major movie award ceremony that we do. I'm not going to run through all the nominations, just its successes.
I think we've done this one or twice, haven't we?
This one shows up in the 1996 award season a lot because a certain person, if not all of us, likes to pick 1995 movies on this podcast.
What a year.
So Braveheart comes up a lot. So the 1996 Oscars, Braveheart got 10 nominations at the Oscars, but it only won these awards. It won Best Makeup, It won Best Sound Effects Editing. It won Best Cinematography. It won Best Director for Mel Gibson. And it won Best Picture. I don't know, but this is certainly at most the second Best Picture film we've ever done on the podcast. We kind of stay away from Best Pictures. So yeah, technically the best film we've ever done because they won the Oscar that year. 1996 BAFTAs, Braveheart had 7 nominations. It won Best Costume Design, Best Sound, Best Cinematography. At the 1996 Golden Globes, 4 nominations. Its only win was Best Director for Motion Picture, Mel Gibson. 1996 MTV Movie Awards. It had 4 nominations, one of which made me laugh was Most Desirable Male, Mel Gibson. He did not win that one. But it did win Best Action Sequence for the Battle of Stirling, not Sterling, it says Sterling as in the money, which is a good mistake by them. But the main awards ceremony we all worry about, 1996 Saturn Awards, 3 nominations for Braveheart, somehow, at the Saturn Awards. No wins, however. The nominations were Best Costumes, Best Music, and Best Action Adventure Film. It won none of those. A lot of awards nominations at the big ones there. Not one single nomination for any actor. It is all cinematography, directing, and sound, basically, and costumes. So that's where this film was in 1995. Synopsis of Braveheart by Nick, our most frequent and longest timest.
Is that Thesaurus Nick?
Thesaurus Nick, I believe.
Here we go.
Around the end of the 1200s, oppressed by King Edward Longshanks, who rules England with an iron fist, the noble and charismatic Scot of humble descent, William Wallace leads a righteous campaign to end tyranny. In this gallant quest for freedom, the gifted strategist and mighty warrior will amass the hordes of the oppressed Scotsmen who thirst to reclaim their independence. However, the road to liberty is always drenched in blood. And that's it. Nick's usually a bit more wordy and usually tries to slip the thing in there somewhere, but that's Braveheart. That's the film. Who picked? I picked it, and the reason I picked it was I'm doing Scotland as my theme, and I always thought when we started, I thought we should do Braveheart, but let's save it for the 100th episode. And
who knew we'd never get to the 100th?
I know. At the time, I was thinking, we should leave it for the 100th. We'll never ever get there, but we did.
It's been on that list for a while, but I couldn't think of a way to.
I was waiting for you to fuck his theme. I genuinely thought, right. I said it to Bruce originally, and we came up with the concept of the podcast. I was like, all right, you'll do the 100th episode, Braveheart, it makes sense. It's going to take us a few years to get to the 100th if we do like a couple of seasons a year. And I was like, I reckon Chris is going to pick it probably the 3rd or 4th film in season 1. But somehow he didn't.
We managed to get there. And yeah, I thought, because it kept coming up like once a month for a while. But yeah, we'll definitely do that. Had we all seen it before?
Oh,
yes.
Yes, of course we had. I think, however, I'd only seen it once before. I've only ever properly.
I think I'm probably with you. I've probably seen it once all the way through, and then other than that, it's been a bit like the end or the middle, the catch bits of it.
The battles, basically.
Yeah.
I had absolutely no recollection of it being 178 minutes long. Or whatever. I had absolutely no memory of that whatsoever.
And when I went to watch it again, and I looked at the time, it was like just short of 3 hours. I don't remember it being that long.
This was a double video back in the old garage days. If you went to rent a garage, you got a double video.
Which channel we normally find it on? This strikes me as a BBC.
I was going to say BBC One.
BBC One. Not even BBC Scotland, actual BBC. Which version did we watch? I watched Disney Plus. I'm assuming we all watched the Disney Plus version, unless you had a DVD or a Blu-ray.
I watched the Blu-ray.
I watched both versions.
Right, okay then.
DVD.
Did you notice any differences at all, Chris? Or was it
I didn't
pretty
actually.
Much... Yeah, well, I don't know what differences there are necessarily, but the UK...
The Blu-ray's all grainy to shit, and it's like when they do that thing, you just see sparkles.
Right, okay.
Too HD.
The UK cinema version was forced to cut away when Willie Wallace gets the throat-cutting revenge on the guy against the pole. The UK
that was on my DVD. That one. I remember.
The BBC UK cinema version forced to cut away so that we get a 15, but it's been put back in again for all the versions.
I don't remember all the Willies.
Okay, well maybe they were cut from the BBC One versions because they did say so.
Right, because this was definitely the first time we seen like 2,000 Willies in HD. Okay.
The first UK VHS home version, I imagine the one that was 2 tapes, like Andy says, had sequences of Wallace leaving Scotland and going to Europe, and had a scene where he meets the Pope, and the Pope basically
never
shuns,
remember that either.
Yeah, shuns him because obviously he backs King Edward and all that sort of stuff. So it's cut from all versions since then, but the original UK version had that. And then I think it was cut completely, with the exception of test audiences because they hated it so much. Full graphic detail of Wallace's disembowelment at the end of the film.
I wanted that.
Yeah, I would like to have seen that.
Right, okay. How times have changed.
I'm pretty sure. I don't know if it's the little jesters that we like thing, but I'm pretty sure I remember guts coming out.
Jesters.
I could have sworn it.
Yeah, maybe you put them two together, yeah. And that's it in terms of the versions. Not much in it. All the rest are pretty much the same. Different TV ones, different violence levels and all that. So, on to point 2 then. Point 2 is what we thought the high points were of the film, best bits and things. I picked it. I don't have much in the early going, so my earliest high point is Uncle Brian Cox showing up, because Brian Cox has to be in everything, and then he was gone. Like, I thought he was going to be quite a bit in this film, but he's in for about 2 scenes and then he's gone. But he's bringing
totally
in
the Sean Connery of the Highlander.
It's exactly the same role.
I'll mentor you. I'll teach you Latin. I'm never back in this film.
So he might have been in it when he was travelling around Europe. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's not when he was travelling around Europe, because they say he met the Pope and he ignored him and all that. But yeah, because he's a well-travelled Scot later on because he knows French and all that. But yeah, I feel like Brian Cox might have been in it a bit more. I did say he turned down a bigger role in the film because he thought it was a better role. But I mean, every role's bigger than his. He's barely in the film.
Yeah.
But the only go him showing up because I do love Brian Cox, and he's one of the best Scottish actors around. And that's without me watching Succession that he's a big star in. Any other early high points?
Mine is not until the test of manhood between Hamish and Wallace.
The Throne of the Rock.
He's a man.
I
always forget about the young William Wallace. He's actually all right. The only thing that really annoys me about it is his eyes are too blue. It's like It's I don't know, it's weird. I don't know if it's because I was watching it in like super HDR, but like everything's all kind of thing, and it's just his eyes are just blue. It's like I don't remember this bit being super blue, but yeah, as like him being a kid and the whole when his dad's dead and all that and just carrying on, it's like, oh yeah. That's kind of like the kind of thing I would do if somebody's going to give me bad news. I'm just going to carry on. I don't want to know. It's better not knowing.
It's hard to not compare this to Highlander, which was my last pick.
However, at that bit, I was like, wait there, that's a dead body. He comes back alive. I've seen this film. I was like, oh, no, wrong film. That's Highlander.
Could be fucking Ghost Kid. William. Yeah, I was a kid, that.
Yeah, him in the house full of bodies and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I think it's a better beginning part of the film to Highlander. If you'd like taking this out, like it's a different level of movie going on here. Throne of the Rocks, then, Chris. Yeah, I enjoyed that as well. The high point.
That was I love that bit.
Yeah, it was just could you do that when it matters? It's like, I mean, in battles, just lob the rock. I think missed him. He's like cracks him right between the eyes with his little boulder.
Yeah. Again, I had no recollection that Brendan Gleeson was in this, who I've now picked for 2 times this season as well. There's a lot of crossover in my 5 picks this year. Having to be kind of shoehorned, pigeonholed into the Scottish thing, but yeah.
I always remember James Cosmo being in it, but he plays the exact same role in this as he does in Highlander.
The same character, not even pretending it's a different kind of character. The exact same role. So my next high point I've got is pretty much Wallace's first revenge when Muron, the most strangest named character.
Moron.
Yeah, well, apparently her name was actually Marion, but they changed it because it was coming out around the same time as Robin Hood was coming out, and they didn't want to have a female character be called Marion and made Marion, so they made it Muron instead, which is a Gaelic name that I have never heard before or since this film. She gets killed. Wallace is coming back like a badass to just wipe out the enemy was amazing. The build up, slow-mo of me. I'm like, is this the kind of film where he's just going to wreck everybody here? I'm not sure. Braveheart to me is a bit of an Oscar winner. It's a bit of a drama. It's not going to be Rambo style murdering everyone. It's like, oh no, he is. He's killing everyone.
That scene is what made me fall in love with effects. So like that guy getting his leg chopped off and like people landed on spikes.
Yeah.
I don't know what when this came out. Years, well, it was in 1995 and stuff. There was a TV program, I think it was on ITV, about a stuntman, and he was in all these different films that showed how stuff done. He's the one that gets lobbed with a sword in that scene and like lands on the ground.
Right, okay.
And he's like James Bond films as well, and it shows you how he did the stunts.
Very good. I do like, it's a pet peeve of mine, is heroes and villains not dealing with their enemy when it comes to the time. I like the fact that Billy Wallace is just like, up against that pole, dead, carry on.
Yep.
I'll slit the throat. I'll get on with it. I don't need to hear anything you have to say. Just going to straight up kill you and then, right, carry on. More revenge. So yeah, very much a good point for me. I did not think Braveheart was that kind of film at that point. So, okay, right, you've got me here. And that's, for me, that's basically an hour and a bit into the film, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
I've got one before it, and it's only because of basketball. I love you. Always have. I can't hear that without laughing.
That's the bit that annoys me, because I always thought, like Mandela effect, I always thought, I love you, I always have, I always will. But that bit's from basketball, whereas his one is just, I love you, I always have. Like, that's it. But yeah, and I always will is basketball. And I was like, threw me right off. I was like, oh yeah, it's basketball.
It's not a high point for me, but it probably would come more into low points. But I feel like they pretty much sort of could end if this was a TV. This was nowadays. That's where the first episode would end. This was Game of Thrones Braveheart edition. Episode 1 would end with him slicing the throat of the guy, and then episode 2 would carry on. I think it's quite a neat little hour's worth of television. You find out who the guy is, finds his love, gets married, and then here's the revenge, but it's really the king that you want. And then that's end of episode 1. I thought it's a nice little neat package of an hour and a bit of a film, of a TV show there. So yeah, very much enjoyed the beginning. Things don't stay as high the whole way through. Not long after though, cauterizing James Cosmo's wound was very, I love that, with the, here, take this, I'll hold it down. Here, take this, I'll hold it down. It's like, why they did that? Oh, right, he's going to punch the guy.
Yeah, I love James Cosmo. He's brilliant.
It's totally what I would do if somebody had to do that to me, though. I would definitely punch whoever stabbed or like cauterize the wound.
Maxwell, help me, it really hurt.
Definitely beat the shit out of him.
Something I did notice when I was watching, but I found this in my research afterwards, is that James Cosmo gets injured in every battle they have in the film. Anytime
that's one of my high points coming up. Like, he doesn't make it through about any battle unscathed.
Yeah, he's always got something sticking in him, no matter what. Any other high points? I've got a couple more.
Mine's is definitely the first big battle, the Battle of Stirling Bridge, which is not a bridge.
Oh,
Stirling's
coming up.
no bridge. Yeah,
we'll just go Stirling, because that was an epic battle. It was like around about the time I'd watched this, I was like just into my PC real-time strategy games, and like Shogun Total War was out. And it just reminded me of that. I was like, oh, right, that's what the waving flags. That explained battle flags to me on what they're actually for. This whole thing is, that makes sense. That makes sense.
A TV show. It used to be on Channel 4. Now, it wasn't like Time Team, but it was around whenever Time Team was on and Scrap Heap Challenge. There was another one, and people used to play classic battles against each other like that. So you'd have your blocks of armies. It was like a digital projection on a board, and you had your bank of people on horses, your cavalry, and your guys some would be like, you would do battles against it, some would explain how old battles happened and all that stuff. So that's that mix with us doing it at school, because it's Scottish history, like I think ages of what, but like 11 to about 14, I think we did a lot of Scottish history at school. It's always the people who are smart who win battles, because the army that has the bigger numbers just send people in. Like, if one man kills one man, by the end we're going to have more standing, because that's just how it goes numbers wise. So the famous battles to me are always the ones where somebody has to outthink their opposition because they're understaffed, if you want to call it that. So
which, like, I know we're going to slag this off later on, like, but like this one actually works because obviously he got like the horses to go around the side and stuff like that. So he did it. It showed him outsmarting, but it would have been better with a bridge. It
would have been better if it had gone how the actual battle. We've missed over one high point I just want to mention. I did like Crazy Stephen saving Wallace.
Oh, the Irishman.
He comes in after the next battle, isn't it?
No, he's
for this one, yeah.
Right, no, right, yeah.
He's in the woods, he's hunting the deer, and then
he's brilliant.
Everyone's all hunting everybody.
He is. I forgot how good he is. And like in this watch, I was like, he is absolutely brilliant in this.
It's really bizarre. Sorry, where'd you go?
I was going to say just the talking to God thing, and then I think it's before the next battle where he's like, are we going to survive this? He's like, oh, well, God's going to look after me, but you're screwed.
It's a very strange casting one, because DavidOHara, who plays Irish Stephen, is Scottish, and then Brendan Gleeson is Irish, plays Hamish, who's Scottish. And it's like, why?
Longshanks, he's Irish as well, I think.
Mick Thingamy, whatever his name was.
Patrick McGowan or something like that.
Yeah,
Patrick Irish.
Yeah. Crazy Stephen though, he's just the right amount of crazy. He doesn't doesn't steal too many scenes that he shouldn't just for being mad. Doesn't ruin any bits for being too hilarious. But yeah, the assassination attempt, because you don't know where he stands yet. You think he could be the assassin and all that, but you kind of get the Hollywood feeling. But towards the end, he's actually going to save his life and join his team. More on the Battle of Stirling though, we can't go past this Battle of Stirling without saying the speech. Not saying the speech, but talking about the famous. You cannot.
It gets me pumped up for a fight every time. Like the speech, the music is just gets me.
It's very good. They used to play it at Hampden before Scotland played football games. I don't know if they still do it or not, but it's a good pumping up Scottish people sort of thing. Despite the fact that, I've got to say, despite the fact we don't need our freedom anymore, technically that's a political thing. I won't go too far down at the moment. But I very much enjoyed his negotiation technique as well.
I'm
gonna go pick a fight.
He didn't say a word. Well, he did say a word, but he just like starts weaving in between them, and you can see the guys getting agitated. And he's just like, I'm just walking about, not doing anything.
Yeah. And then obviously in the battle, everybody moons the English side, like what's behind Andy in the video version. And one guy gets shot in the arse with an arrow, which is always
classic. Why did he have his arse out so? Is he just so like everybody managed to turn around and kick their sword?
He's just standing going, "What are you doing, guys? What's happening?"
I've still been in these cunts back here. Arrow in the ass.
They must have had a bet who can keep their arse out the longest, and he both won and lost at the same time. I think.
Technically, I shouldn't kill, but he's had a sore arse for a few weeks.
So yeah, through the Battle of Stirling, this is where I really had this is where they just should have stopped the film, I think, at this point. Because if you stop it now, Wallace has won Scotland back for the time being, as in we've defeated the English, off they go, we've claimed Stirling and all that stuff, he's avenged his wife, and there's I've made the fool of you, and you've kind of set up Robert the Bruce to be the next king. You could have a bit more, some of the later scenes between them dispersed throughout the first hour and a half. And I feel like this would be a nice, neat hour and a half. Here's William Wallace. Here's why he's angry. Here's his big victory. Look how smart a guy he was in battle. And then his pal's going to be the next king. Then you could tack on the Bannockburn at the end. Here's Robert Bruce, how many years later, winning. And that would have been a nice, fine hour and 45, say, Braveheart. And it would have been fine there. And I'd have loved it. That would have been near enough I don't know, 8, 9, or a 10, I think, for me, if it ended there.
I think we already know that Bruce's film's not a 10 out of 10.
Braveheart's not a 10 out of 10. I've only got one more high point after this, so give us some others.
I'm going to go for Longshanks. As much of a prick that he was, anytime he was on screen, like until he was bedridden, of course, like he was ruthless. You're just waiting for something. Like he started off just slapping people about. He's just lobbing people at windows.
I love that window.
Yeah, I love it, the window.
But my scene I actually liked with him is actually the bit when he's in the bed not saying anything, and she walks behind him and basically says everything, and obviously he can't say anything. It's like that's some brilliant acting by not saying anything. You know he's getting pissed. He can't do anything, and then obviously when like William Wallace is dying, and it's like you hear him just shout freedom, and you can see he's like dies as well. Like it just like kills him. And it's like that's some good acting by not talking.
For me, the scene for him is him at the Battle of Falkirk, though, where he's actually there, and they're like, it's like fire the arrows, and they're like, but our own soldiers, we have more, or we have reserves. the kind of the character he has there.
Like, he shoots your eyes, goes right, let's go, let's go, job's done. We'll see you later.
He's so good, so evil, but also he's a bit more kind of fun evil there. He wasn't too much of a kind of pantomime villain. That scene is a bit more panto, but I was laughing it up. The Battle of Falkirk is my last high point, though. I think despite the fact Scotland get absolutely trounced, anytime there's a good battle, they had a plan again. Let's get the Irish boys on our side, and then we'll set fire to the battlefield, and then it goes south in a hurry after that. But yeah, another good scene. Anytime they had a big battle in a big field, it was really good in this film. Hence
all the battles.
All three of us have got our backgrounds on YouTube are all battle related.
They were just epic battles. I could just watch them 3 battles over and over again.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Any other high points?
I would say just the end, William Wallace's death. Like, it does get you a bit. It's like, he died.
Yeah, you can't think like Mel Gibson's actually getting hung, because he acts that really well.
He did. One of the trivia notes was that in one of the takes, he did accidentally hang himself. Because he's director and acting. So he was like, oh, and he said, it's like, I remember landing on the floor. Yeah. I remember being on the floor and coming round and everyone being like, are you okay? Are you okay? He's like, yeah, okay. So it went wrong.
I said, cut. Cut the fucking rope, not the tape.
Is that us for high points? So we got to point 3.
So.
On to point 3, the low points. What's up the worst bits and things of the film? Where anyone want to lead off?
Right, I've got a couple. Fuck me, this film's long. Like,
Yes.
like I forgot. Like literally, I was like watching it. I was like, right, titties. He's banged her. He's gonna have a kid. Fuck me, that's an hour and 20 minutes in. I was like, I'm sure she dies. I was like, when the fuck does she die?
Yeah, too
I
long.
don't remember it being that long.
No. Like I've only ever seen it the once, and I feel like long films carry a reputation, like Titanic, reputation of being long, Avengers Endgame, reputation of being long. Why doesn't Braveheart carry this reputation of being?
I don't know, but it felt long.
Yeah.
I felt every damn minute. After the first 30 minutes, I felt every minute of this film. Even the battle scenes, I was like, all right, that's pretty good. I was like, this battle's dragging on a bit, isn't it? It's like, oh, fucking hell, that's a 10-minute battle scene. Just start fighting, stop negotiating.
There's,
and it's like, oh, wait, there's another battle scene. Oh, there's more negotiating.
but there's some aspects of this film that did not show up in high points. As the film goes on, the aspects that have not been mentioned so far get longer, and there's more of them. And here's more of these bits that we've not mentioned in the high points. And it's like the second half of the film is twice as long as the first half of the film. Like it just drags and drags and drags. So aside from the length, which again I apologise to two of you as soon as I found out, which was just before I started watching it. My first low point. When the nobleman comes to claim Tommy Flanagan's new wife via prima nocta, and then the whole thing goes slow-mo, and then some flute music plays, and she very willingly just decides to go. Like it's immediately she's like, "Oh yeah, I'll go. Yeah, but see you later, Tommy. You'll be a massive
Yeah, but
star."
if you've met Tommy Flanagan, it's probably the right choice.
Yes, a bit of a crazy man. But
That brings me on to my next point, where is it Rapey Smythe? He's just talking to me, going, "Oh, I'll help you with that," and he goes, "Oh, you remind me of my daughter. I'm going to rape you."
yeah, those are weird.
Scary stuff.
Like the English are fucked up.
Speaking of Wallace's wife, one of my low points is specifically for her, but a lot of them, but mainly her. Her perfect teeth do not fit the character she's playing. Like she has, Catherine McCormack, probably the best set of teeth I've ever seen in an actress in Hollywood. She's playing this absolute lowest of the low commoner living in the mud in Scotland that can't read and all that stuff, but she can floss and have an electric toothbrush.
There must have some good dentistry back then.
Yeah, Robert the Bruce, he had really good teeth, but at least he's a nobleman living in a castle, whereas she was nothing. It's like, no, your teeth are too nice. This is too Hollywood for me. Any other low points?
Andrew's already mentioned it.
You go for one because I've got a rant.
Well, I've got to say the Battle of Stirling Bridge with no bridge.
Crucial that the Battle of Stirling Bridge had a bridge. It was very important to the battle. It's why Scotland
How they fucking won it.
Battle, yes. And Scotland had the high ground, Anakin, in that battle as well. So, and in this film, they didn't. They had to run up the hill against the English for some reason. So, yeah. Mel Gibson says it was literally done because the bridge, ironically, got in the way when they were filming it. So they were like, yeah, we'll just do it on an open plane. We can't do it with a bridge. It gets in the way. So we'll just change how the battle happened.
We'll just change history for this film.
Yeah, which he admits they did in very many interviews. He's like, yeah, well, we used the Hollywood license. It's based on stuff, but we wanted to make an interesting film. Like, it's not a case of we didn't want to tell history. We wanted to make a film with a story and a message and a meaning and all that stuff. And that's just what they did. But yeah, this Battle of Stirling Bridge crucially had a bridge in it, which is not in the film. On that front, trust me, I am the son of a history teacher who gave me a long list of everything that's wrong with this film. That's coming later. But one of my low points was York! ! William Wallace never got anywhere near York his entire life. At one point, he sacks the castle of York. I think he was never south of Carlisle in his entire life or something like that, William Wallace, at least as leader of Scotland. So the Scottish army never made it to Yorkshire. So that was so big a made-up leap of faith that I had in my low points. Andy, do you want to go on a rant?
Right, strap in. This could be the worst rant I've ever done in some time. Right. It was one of Chrissy's high points. However, it is one of my lowest of low points. And as a Scotsman, it is the most cringy thing in the world. And it is William Wallace's freedom speech.
Oh, really?
This is high point as well.
I mentioned it, yeah.
Right. It fucking narks me off to no end. Because every bell end wannabe Scotsman always goes freedom. So your English cunts that want to be Scottish, always like freedom. Every wank stain around the world that says Scotland, freedom. The Scottish independence referendum 3 years ago was pretty much the tagline.
Yeah.
The future referendum freedom that's happening now is going to be the motherfucking tagline. You even mentioned it. It's in football games.
Yeah.
It is the most annoying thing. As a proper regular Joe, not a patriotic moron Scotsman, annoys the shit out of me.
You go on
And
holiday
it's just like,
and you announce that you're Scottish. You say, "Oh, Braveheart, freedom!"
it happens everywhere, and it has always narked the shit out of me. It's just like, one, if you're Scottish, don't fucking do that because you're a cunt. Two, if you're not Scottish, don't fucking do that because Scottish people don't fucking like it either. The only people that fucking like it are people that actually like this film.
Yeah, yeah.
But it annoys me. It just is. It's fucked up, and it should be wiped off the history books.
It is the problem when it's the most single famous thing about a country, which is why I think don't want to speak for you, so you can't disagree. I think personally, for me as a Scottish people, why we've adopted Groundskeeper Willie so much, because we see more of ourselves in Groundskeeper Willie. Yeah, he can be what Scotland is. If you're like, you're from Scotland, yeah. Groundskeeper Willie, yes, that's right. Not Braveheart, not freedom.
Yeah.
Groundskeeper Willie, that's fine.
Yeah, like, not all of us want freedom. I know there's a lot of cunts right now who want freedom again, and they don't fucking know what they're talking about. Because, can you not see what happened? This film, we want freedom. We have to go through this shit again if Scottish people want freedom. No, thank you. Can we not just all get along? Look at fucking Ukraine and Russia. If they just got fucking along, they'd be all right. Let's just be a united fucking world. Let's not be Russia. Don't be fucking invading shit. We don't need to start a war that's not like, we're fine. We're all good.
I didn't know that was part of it.
That's exactly what happens.
Right, okay.
Scottish people vote independence, and then suddenly none of your English companies, none of your EU companies all come up to Scotland, and you're like, oh shit. Then we're all living in fucking mud huts and shit like that because they turned the fucking power off because they're run by some French company. It's like, we're fucked. If you vote independence, you're a fucking moron, and if you shout the word freedom, you're getting punched in the fucking face.
There we go. Okay then, back to some more points. Can't really follow that. The whole French princess arc is unnecessary. It does not need to be in the film.
And why does he bang her? Like, does he bang everybody that moves?
I saw someone else writing this. What was it? I'm doing this for my dead wife. Quote, William Wallace balls deep in a French princess. But I can't remember who said that. But yeah, it's like, it doesn't really matter for the film. Anything that she does doesn't matter. You could easily just have evil king versus evil or good guy upriser. And also, because it's a complete fabrication, he never met the girl. The girl would be someone like 5 or 6 years old. In reality, they would never. So I don't know why she has to be involved whatsoever.
And why does he have to bang her?
Yeah,
it really takes, like, William Wallace up to that point was all right. You're a pretty good character. I'm kind of behind you. I understand a little bit of your independence, not freedom, independence. I'm okay with
the fucking battlefield. Independence.
But yeah, I'm with him. I'm like, I'm behind his story, but then he goes and bangs a French person. I was like, well, you didn't give a shit about your wife. You've just went on this rampage because you're a fucking prick. You were trying to get some poontang on the battlefield. That's all you were doing.
But yeah, take that out. There's 45 minutes gone. Yeah. I also noticed in the research, like, I was thinking even take out Prince Edward as well, King Edward II, because he's just, I don't know why he's, other than just to irritate the king, why is he there? I know it's like to drive on he needs to make sure everything's in order because he doesn't have a son who's going to give him a son, if you know what I'm saying. But yeah, take him out as well. There's no need for this entire side storyline. The actor who played the prince is only in one other thing other than Braveheart, so didn't have his career either. So yeah, just get rid of that storyline. That's a third of the film gone, and you're laughing. And my final low point, Robert Bruce betraying William Wallace, which absolutely did not happen at all. Not happen. For him then to just immediately unbetray him straight afterwards on the battlefield that he just betrayed him on.
In this film, he was just so unlikable. Like, he's supposed to be like a Scottish outlaw hero and king and all that.
You want to like Robert the Bruce, and it's like the scenes with his weird leopard dad. It's like, all right. You can kind of see, like, right, okay, I'm right, you're going to do good, you're going to turn. It doesn't. It's just, you're a dick.
Yeah. Not
And
really.
let's face it, you all seen the end when he's like, "All right, I'm going to go meet him." It's like, "Oh, so that's a bad idea. That's a trap. That's a trap."
Yeah.
Oh wait, it's a trap.
That's like pretty my last point. It's all the treachery. I don't know how much of it was true or not, but you couldn't trust anybody.
No. Why would anyone trust everyone? Because anytime you trust someone, it goes wrong for them. It's so bad.
However, 100%, if I was a nobleman and somebody offered me a shit ton of gold and some land, I'm taking it.
As much land in England as you have in Scotland, yeah.
Fuck freedom. I'll take some gold, some women, and some land. What do you want? Yep.
Definitely.
I'll surrender. No problem.
Is that us for low points then?
Yeah.
Right. Historical inaccuracies that have not been mentioned. William Wallace wasn't just a commoner. He was also of noble births or something like that. His dad was a knight. Like, he was not just a common man living in a mud hut. Far too early for anyone to be wearing kilts or even wearing tartan. That would not have been invented yet. Bagpipes wouldn't be banned for at least 600 years after this. So the whole band music on band instruments isn't true. It would also have been a very... Oh, because at the beginning, what are they doing, Dad, at the funeral? Oh, they're
band
playing
pipes.
band songs on band pipes or something like that. It would have been a long time since anyone would have gone into battle in Scotland wearing face paint. That was a very much an old-fashioned thing, even in 1200, whatever. The date the film starts is nearly 75 years before England had any involvement in Scotland. So at the beginning of the film, all these English landowners are there. That's not even 70 years within happening yet.
I know.
Battle William Wallace's execution, they didn't die at exactly the same time. So that's another one. And just a strange one, it's not quite as important. Braveheart was originally a nickname for Robert the Bruce. And
I knew that one.
It gave it to William Wallace instead.
Yep.
But yes, and other inaccuracies
Right.
you mentioned so far.
I've got one that you've missed out.
Okay.
It's the most important one of them all.
Mm-hmm.
So William Wallace, I'm pissed. William Wallace's best friend wasn't a guy called Hamish.
Right.
It was a guy called Andrew Murray.
Ah, yes. Uh-huh.
And Andrew Murray is famous for killing an Englishman, skinning him, and making a leather sword sheath for William Wallace.
Ah, I see. Okay. Have you descended from him? Are you the 17th?
I think so.
Descended from cycles.
I reckon so. It would explain a lot.
There you go.
Fun fact for you,
History
Andrew
of-
Murray was his best friend, not Hamish.
Okay. On to point 4 then. Some more facts. The stats from Braveheart. 1 shit and 2 F-bombs. Both F-bombs were from Crazy Stephen, the Irish guy. And the 1 shit was really just randomly and kind of passing. But that's it. 3 swears of that kind of level in the whole film. 0 explosions. A lot of fire, but none of it's really an explosion. They did like a bit of fire back in those days. That was like that was like the gun back then. It was, oh, you can't
pyro.
Yeah, can't go back from that. Deaths. 198 was my best guess at what I could see happening. However, 5,000 English soldiers died at the Battle of Stirling Bridge, and a total of 4,000 soldiers died at the Battle of Falkirk. So it could be 9,198, depending on if we're going.
That's not quite our most. Is it a planet got destroyed?
The whole of Earth, the population of Earth got wiped out in the Starship Troopers, which will never be beaten, I don't think, until we do Avengers Infinity War. Which even then, is that a death? We don't know. But yeah, I think I counted about 198 happening on screen, which was tough. Our quotas: cows, several; goats, several; dead animal, dozens of horses. I did not know about the mechanical horses they had for this film. Like none of
they
the
don't want to actually do any dangerous shit with them.
Yeah, not one dangerous bad thing happened to a horse. And apparently Mel Gibson had a bet that if you could go up to him and tell him where they used a fake horse, he would give you $5 or something like that. And he said,
there's definitely one when they smashed that guy in the face with a thing and
Go
jumped
tell
out
him.
the window.
"Yeah,
$5.
But yeah, the one where he's riding his horse around in the house and it jumps into the water. It's like clearly it's not a dead, like fake horse falling.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah. But all right, I thought you meant in battle when he was bashing people's faces. And yes, him definitely was a fake horse. Defecation and pissing and all that sort of stuff. None I could find. Nothing too like graphic.
Surely one of those guys behind Andy shit themselves before the war.
Definitely, but none of
Definitely
it
got a
was
wiping problem.
nothing implied or displayed. Pedophiles. Well, at least the guy we mentioned earlier, he looked like my daughter, and Princess Isabel would have been very young. So Bruce
William Wallace is a pedo.
William Wallace might have been. The devil wasn't there. KKK Nazi weren't invented yet. Right, this is another thing I thought I'll track the Scottish accents. Okay, how many good ones, how many bad ones there are. It's come out tied. There's an equal amount. There's 9 good and 9 bad. However, I haven't put Mel Gibson in this yet. So, which side is Mel Gibson's Scottish accent going? Which way is this film swaying?
It's not Highlander.
Yeah.
I would say it's actually pretty good.
Again, it seems to go a little bit Irish, but
Yeah. That was one of
a good one.
One of my complaints is I even googled, was William Wallace's father Irish? He was not, because that guy who played his dad was going full Irish with his accent, so he was not an Irish guy. So he's a bad accent. But yeah, okay. Well, I thought he was pretty good. In most of the film, he's fine as Mel Gibson. It's serviceable. So there are.
He doesn't use the word silly wee haggis.
Silly wee haggis. He's no Conor McLeod. Yeah, he's better than some in the film. And do they say the thing? Do they say Braveheart?
No.
They don't, of course, because he wasn't called Braveheart. So yeah, it is just the title of the film. Chris, any stats from you?
I struggled to find stats. I'm going to count one nut shot, not including all the naked balls behind Andy when they do the first time. I'm pretty sure Steven stabbed somebody through the bollocks.
Oh yeah, he does, definitely.
Okay, yeah, well there we go, one nut shot.
Is that you?
That was it. I don't know what else to count.
I thought one of you might have done arses or knobs or something like that.
How many people are in the fight? There you go.
We got one,
I don't
two.
even remember the tallywackers though. I do not remember that full front of one.
Well, I
always
remember the first one.
No, yeah. I've never remembered that bit.
Okay, Andy, is that your most pornographic scene, or have we got a different one?
Well, as much as I like seeing a sea of asses, I do like more orange tits.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, by the river.
There's nothing better than a sun-kissed titty. A moon kiss, sorry.
Moon kiss, yeah.
Moon kiss.
A moon kiss titty.
Very good. Okay then, on to point 5 on the podcast, the 10-point podcast quiz. Andy is our quiz master, and he's pre-warned us that it is good. Therefore, I am worried.
Right. So, this one is called Big Yins and Wee Yins.
Okay.
And it's basically, is William Wallace a big yin or a wee yin compared to these certain things I'm going to tell you? So it's like Dinkier than Dinklage.
Yeah.
But bigger or smaller than William Wallace.
So we are comparing them to him or him to them.
It basically are these things bigger or smaller than fictional William Wallace's size of 7 foot in this movie?
Right, 7 foot. Yeah.
So 7 foot is your benchmark.
I'm glad you said that because I thought you were going to go his actual size of.
So say it was the Empire State Building. I would say that is a big yin. Is that what?
That's a big yin.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you said Peter Dinklage, he's a wee yin.
Right. Okay.
Right. Big yin, wee yin. So we'll start off with.
Surely me to go first. Chris always goes first, so I'll go first.
We'll go with you, Bruce. William Wallace, so 7 foot, fictional size. That is his fictional height. Everything's in foot, by the way, foot and inches. So you can add inches as well if you want to be more accurate. Is William Wallace a big yin or a wee yin compared to the biggest haggis ever made?
Again, you've already confused me with the way you've asked the question there. I'm going to say the biggest haggis ever made is.
Is he bigger or is that bigger or smaller than William Wallace?
It is a wee yin compared to William Wallace.
You would be wrong. The biggest haggis on record was made by Hall's Haggis in 2014, and it was 12 foot 2 inches.
Jesus.
That was a big yin.
Small one.
I could feed the whole army.
That was a big yin.
Right.
Chris, the average Highland coo.
It's a wee yin.
You are correct. It is a wee yin. That is 4 foot.
From toe to head, not from tail.
Yes, not from length. From toe to head height. Bruce. Robert the Bruce. Was he a big yin or wee yin?
It's a fictional height. I'm going to say he's a wee yin.
He is a wee yin. He was 5'8".
Was he?
I'm taller than Robert the Bruce.
Chris. Ebenezer Place in Wick is the shortest street in Scotland. But is it a big yin or a wee yin?
What?
Ebenezer Place is the shortest street in Scotland.
Oh, right, okay. I'm going to say it's a big yin.
It is a wee yin. It was actually weer than fictional height of William Wallace by 1 inch.
Oh, was it? Unlucky.
Bruce. The biggest deep fried pizza.
Yeah, I got the last food one. Now, if a haggis can be 12 feet, wasn't it, for the haggis?
The haggis was 9 foot 2 inches.
Oh, I'm surely a biggin, the pizza, surely.
It is a big one. It was 23.4 foot, and it was deep fried in Italy. It was made by the Italians. Was that one?
Oh.
Chris. Andrew Murray.
Oh no.
But you are his friend, Andrew Murray. Or the tennis player, Andrew Murray. I would say Ian.
Yeah, it was actually me. I'm only
Oh.
6 foot. William Wallace was an extra foot higher than me.
Oh.
Bruce.
Mhm.
A Clydesdale horse.
Oh.
And the tallest Clydesdale horse on record.
7 feet. Surely then. Biggin.
It's not, it's a wee in it. It was 6 foot 6 inches.
Oh, I would have said Biggin.
I'd have thought 7 feet would be quite easy for a big horse.
Chris. 7 2-litre bottles of Iron Brew.
Did you test this yourself?
Big one.
It is a big one. It is 7.8 inches. What's the scores?
Chris is one up on me. And we've had even number.
Right. Bruce. Sean Connery.
Oh, he's not 7 feet tall. Ian.
He is a wee, and he's 6 inches.
The fictional height. Sean Connery. 8 feet tall.
Chris, if you get this, it's basically cemented.
Yeah. Or even at the moment. So.
Right. So, Chris, you need this to win, or it's a tie.
This is to win.
More questions. The length of material used in a standard kilt.
Chris will know this. He's a common kilt wearer as Chris.
Is it a big one or a wee one?
7 feet.
Biggin.
It is a big one. It's 9 foot to 12 foot in 2 inches for some reason.
There you go. Chris is the winner.
So he's a winner of the big one, wee one.
Those his biggins.
I had a pack there with a kilt. I was like, oh.
I'll update us on the pointies of whether Chris won the quiz for the season, but I really feel like he has in quite a landslide. I don't think I've won many, even with the cheating that Andy does some weeks. On to point 6 then. Movies within movies, possibly for the last time in its current iteration, because we're slowly retiring all the different aspects of movies within movies. So, parodies and references, for me, a very tough one here. One I spotted was Star Wars, which was jumping some soldiers off screen and then coming back onto screen wearing their uniform, like they do in Star Wars. They go back as Stormtroopers. William Wallace did it as I guess the English soldiers in their yellow. And then 2 that the internet tells me, Spartacus, which I can see how that might be referenced, and Conan the Barbarian, which was chopping the horse's legs so that the enemy falls off the horse. That's in that film too. But other than that, not much in the way of references, really. This is kind of its own sort of thing. Never not good. Evil Englishmen is never not good. They always play the best baddies. And that's me. Movies within movies, maybe my aspect's gone completely. We'll soon find out. Chris, 10-point podcast universe.
I thought this was going to be more than what I actually had, but there was somebody called Rana Morrison. She was uncredited lady at the wedding. There's a lot of uncredited, by the way.
I gave up.
She was also uncredited female. I didn't put what the film it was from. She's uncredited female evacuee. What
kind of film?
Oh,
Yeah,
that
what film was that?
What was her name again? Rana, did you say?
Rana, yeah.
Have a look for her. Carry on with your rest and I'll try.
Yeah, anyway, she's been in 50 roles and every single one of them has been uncredited, so she's getting a bit of a shout out here.
That's somebody just went on IMDb and just added himself into films.
It's our favourite films.
I can't remember what film it was.
What was her son name? Morrison. Is that what
Morrison,
you said?
yeah. Okay, I'll carry on just now.
Mm-hmm.
Arnold Monte. He was a royal steward, also uncredited. Was uncredited overseer in Django Unchained. Richard Leaf, the governor of York, was the neighbour in Fifth Element, the guy that holds him up with the crazy eyes.
Yeah.
I never knew that, but now I can't unsee it. Our guy, Tommy Flanagan, I only know him as Groom, but apparently his name is Morrison. He was in Face Off as Leo. I'm sure he was in something else, but it didn't.
Yeah, I felt like when we did him in Face Off, we'd done him before, but I couldn't find it either. Yeah. Rana Morrison was female evacuee in episode 2 of the 10-point podcast, Doom. She was.
That was it. I knew it because I was going to make this big thing about this film. Dooms never came up again, and I forgot to put it in.
And it's probably at least 10 years after she was in Braveheart. But I think it said that she was like a location management, so she maybe just gets stuck in the background. Maybe that's why she's always uncredited.
Brendan Gleeson was Heimdall. He was the general in Edge of Tomorrow, and it was Frank in 28 Days Later, which that's twice this season he's making appearance.
Both my picks.
He was the one that I predicted was going to come up in Braveheart.
Right.
Because that's what I guessed you were going to do this. Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
William Wallace. I forgot about this one, but he played himself in Casper.
Yeah. I can't remember the context. I remember him and some other big
things in the mirror.
Right. Changed his face and stuff. He does. Is it Rodney Dangerfield as well?
Yeah. Right.
And James Cosmo, Hamish's dad, he was pretty much like we said before, the same character in Highlander.
I wasn't listening at the beginning, Chris. Did you mention Malcolm Tierney? Because I did not hear you say Malcolm Tierney.
I did. Totally did.
No, he didn't.
He
was magistrate, which I believe is the guy who got his throat slit. He was uncredited, however, has a character name as Lieutenant Shan Childson in Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope. So I'm assuming.
Fuck! That's why I was looking for the actual name of A New Hope. I just fucking rattled through that. I missed that one.
All right. Yeah. So apparently he was in that, but uncredited with a character name somehow. We know how Star Wars is. But I think he named all the rest that I picked out. Richard Leaf with his crazy eyes. Yeah, I was like, I know him from something. I could not place it. And then I found out that it was Fifth Element. Recast us, Chris. Have you done that?
I have. I could have put it as absolutely anybody.
Yeah.
In this film. But I see Andy as Hamish purely because I don't know, I could just picking up like chicken walks at people and he's just like, punching people like you said before. For just he's got rage issues. I'm purely because your name's Bruce. I was going to put you as Robert the Bruce.
That was my thinking as well.
And because I can be a bit of a wild card, I see myself as Stephen.
Yep, I made you think as well.
I'm probably the guy who just stands there and goes, "There's somebody coming."
There we go. Snap. I think that might be the first time we've actually nailed all three at the same time. Andy, have you done any recasting?
Right. This recast is to change William Wallace for another actor. However, before I mention the actor, this caused a 5-minute debate in this household because I was watching it and I was like, "This is right in the freedom speech when it pans across everybody," and I was like, "That's him." It doesn't know. It's not. It's like, no, that's 100%. So I had to rewind it back. Pans across again. I froze it. It doesn't jump up and down. It's proper. Just 100%. Swear to God, it is 100% who I'd recast as William Wallace. Gerard Butler.
Is he in this?
Is he?
No. However, his double's in it.
Right.
I mean, like Gerard Butler, how he looks now. Imagine, just pick him out and put him into 1995. There's a guy, when it pans along, when he's doing the horsey back and forth thing, it's Gerard Butler, 110%. But I would have Gerard Butler play William Wallace.
I think basically he played Leonidas in 300 because they'd already made the part, really. If this film had come out that year, then
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Like, it's an absolute...
But I'm swearing he's in it. You go back and watch it, he's in it.
It might be. I think the only downside would be, the only negative to your argument would be it was in Ireland and they mainly got Irish actors to fill out the background.
And he would have been like half age.
So sure.
Yeah, 1995. I'm not sure how old he would be in 1995. But,
he definitely, but I mean, he looks like a 40 to 50-year-old Gerard Butler.
Well, look, the ghost, the time traveling Butler or something like that. Point 7 on the podcast. Chris's Would You Rather, Chris's hypothetical idea that we've come up with an answer for. Chris, what's
No, I would not go for Scottish independence.
This one was brutal, I tell you. I struggled for this one. And I eventually settled on, would you rather have fireballs from your eyes or lightning bolts from your arses?
I reckon lightning bolts from my arse, because that'd be pretty cool.
I think lightning bolts from your arse, that has to hurt. Whereas fireballs from your eyes, I feel like it would be going away. Like the fire would be out.
No, but think all the times that you burn your eyelashes and your eyebrows, and it would smell because it's near your nose, so you'd always smell burning hair.
I'm more thinking about the fact that I fart a lot, So if I'm sitting there and I fart and my kid walks past, it's getting shot with lightning. So I was going to say fireballs. I could just look away.
But in this climate, farting like lightning bolts, you could power a generator.
Just aim it out of a socket.
How much wattage do you want?
I need some more eggs and beans. Come on.
Okay, then.
Scottish power.
That's real Scottish power. Yeah. On to point 8, the nominations for the 10-Point Podcast Pointy Awards. This is the final set of nominees to go into the pot to decide who wins the awards. I'll run through what I've got, but I don't have a huge amount this week. Best animal, William Wallace's horse, especially when he rides it around in a guy's house. I thought it was a well-behaved animal. He also did well to get it back after that battle. He whacked it on the arse and ran in, and then he has the same horse later on. So it means it hung around for him, which I thought was pretty good. I think I saw it in the trivia, but I also noticed that you can notice whenever he starts shouting on the back of the horse is like, yeah. Anytime he's like, gets more, it's like the horse just does not stop moving, doesn't like loud noises.
I don't think I had any control in that speech. He was going with that horse.
Yeah, the camera had to follow him. Best team, I've gone for Scotland. They were the best team. I thought they were definitely more unified. Best costume or fashion item is definitely him with the face paint. This is the first time I've probably looked at it to see what the pattern is. I thought it wasn't painted white, it was just his skin, but I think it must have come off at that point. But yeah, half blue and not quite half white is a really good look.
It annoys me why they didn't just do, like said, half blue, half white, but I think put like an extra blue bit at his ear.
I like that better. I think it looks less like a American football fan that way. It looks more like I'm going into battle. This is a sort of a sharp thing on my face. Apparently he wanted to have the saltire on his face, but the production designers said to him, no, this will be better, go for this. It's less a flag, more of a war statement or something like that. Best fight, the Battle of Stirling, no bridge. Best plan, I think the actual plan at the Battle of Stirling, where it's like you pretend to run away and come around behind them. Although the Battle of Falkirk, the English plan of let's just murder our own team, seemed to be quite successful. But in terms of return on bodies, the Battle of Stirling had more deaths, so they were more successful. Best Jimmy, James Cosmo. Not many nominees for that this year, but I think he's been nominated twice. Worst father figure, Robert the Bruce Sr. He's definitely the worst father figure in this film. Everybody else is quite good for their...
Everything he did was to try and aid his son, so he was kind of trying to help him.
Yeah, he was trying to set him up for this life.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I thought it was horrible. We're going King Edward I then. Is he a worse father figure?
Aye.
Aye.
Obviously a worse son. I don't know. Worst accent? I've gone William Wallace's dad because he sounded Irish and he was not an Irishman. But if you've got a better one, go for it. Worst twist? Robert the Bruce's betrayal because it didn't happen and then he completely unbetrayed him immediately afterwards, which is just a horrible twist.
That's a twisty twist.
Most unexpected, but also kind of expected, Brian Cox showing up in this film because he is in everything, but I didn't think he was in this, and then he disappears again, so he's not really in it.
I went for Peter Mullen.
Yeah, who we've not mentioned so far. Quite a big actor, and probably would be quite a big actor at the time as well. And he's barely.
I'm putting Gerard Butler in there.
Gerard Butler, just showing up in the background. And the last one for me, best bell end, King Edward I. Very good performance by the chap whose name Patrick McGoohan, whose name I keep forgetting. And that's my last nominee. Chris, any more from you?
I don't know if this is a controversial. I went best actor Mel Gibson. He does a good Scottish accent. He was all right.
He's all right. I don't think he'll make the cut, but he's all right.
Moved on best cameo, best plan. My worst plan was going to the original meeting without any weapons. It was very obviously a trap. Or Wallace going to the meeting with the Bruce, which was also very obviously. I'm going to say that was the worst plan actually.
Yeah,
I was thinking about it.
Betrayed a few times.
Yeah. My biggest bell end, it was close between like Bruce's dad, not your actual dad. Bruce's dad.
He only wants to know dad.
But who did you say got it? Longshanks.
Yeah, but I went best bell. You've invented biggest bell end. I think means most.
It's the same thing, I think.
Right, okay, well, best I think is the best villain is King Edward I.
Okay, I'll go for that. My most annoying kid was that creepy ghost kid. Freaked me out as a kid.
I forgot because none of the kids were too annoying actually. Oh, that's what I say. Young Hamish looks like John Connor's ginger pal in Terminator 2.
Yes,
I could unsee it when I see that young Hamish.
I don't think if you mentioned it. My best death, I'm going to go for him getting lobbed at the window.
Right, okay, that's a good one. Yeah, I couldn't decide on it. There was so many kind of entertaining deaths, and they all happened like obviously I'm counting them during the battles, and his head got off. And,
I'm going best death, William Wallace. That was an emotional death.
It was emotional. If I'd seen what's happened, it would have got the best death.
I think so. That might be a difference maker. But personally, probably I'd have gone for something in the battles that happened. It was exciting, but him getting lobbed at the window, I did not anticipate it. I quite enjoyed the shock value.
I'm going to give it the best soundtrack, Braveheart. And the best song in general was the Braveheart theme.
I formed a theory during watching this film that bagpipes are only good when you're in where the bagpipes are. Like bagpipes in music, bagpipes in recording studios don't sound as good as when you're with some bagpipes. And
in fact, apparently they weren't bagpipes. It was Irish pipe or something like that.
Ah, okay. Right, maybe that's
also, fun fact for you, Chris. Chris, remember that day at work when we listened to Scottish music for like 4 hours?
Amazing.
And it was all bagpipe covers and stuff like that. And then that delivery guy came in and we had it belting out. And he was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I tell you, bad. I used to have to listen to this at work years ago. Red Hot Chili Pipers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's what we were listening to.
Yeah.
It's like metal songs, but with bagpipes.
Yeah.
And stuff like
They're actually really good.
Okay, I'll take that. It must have been whatever Irish pipe it was that they played for the soundtrack. But yeah, it was kind of grating. The actual orchestral cinema score was really good, but as soon as the bagpipes kind of cut in, it was just, that doesn't sound right. But yeah, it's a good score.
My best entrance is Wallace's entrance at the Battle of Stirling.
I suppose, yeah. That's everyone's running away.
Yeah. My best quote was, "I love you, always have." I can't hear it without laughing now. And that was it.
Any more from you, Andy?
I think the only thing I'm adding in is best twist. The Battle of Stirling Bridge didn't have a bridge. Didn't see that coming.
Like that. On to point 9 then, the moral of the story, what the lesson we're supposed to learn from the film Braveheart was. Does anyone want to go in with theirs first?
I've got one. If you're going to do a film about history and a historic figure, keep the fucking history in the film. Don't take bridges out or fabricate relationships just to
it does seem interesting enough, doesn't it? It's like, why change it from an already seemingly quite interesting story into something that's completely false? I've gone for, we all end up dead. It's just a matter of how and why. That seems to be the lesson I was supposed to take from the film. And Andy, what's your moral of the story?
Freedom isn't free.
That's a good one.
It's not. On to the 10th point. It's the 10-point rating where we rate the film out of 10. I've picked it, so I get to go first. I've not written a wee story here, so I'm going to do it off the top of my head. Too long would be the beginning of it anyway. Doesn't need to be 3 hours. A third of the story is irrelevant and made up and totally not necessary. If I'd cut it at the hour and 3/4 mark, I would have given it maybe an 8, maybe a 9, depending how patriotic I was that day. So half the film is good, and some aspects of it I am fond of, all in that. So I rounded my 5 up to a 6. So I give it a 6 out of 10 for Braveheart, because actually it's better than I thought it was going to be. In all honesty, I remembered it being a bit worse than it was. Chris, I've got you go next. You go next.
This is just going to make no sense. I've given Andrew's big rant he had, but ignoring the glaring historical inaccuracies for a moment, I challenge any Scottish person not to feel patriotic watching this film. But Andy's already kind of vetoed that thing. So the battles are just epic, and I like the score. It was just awesome. Like I said, like in my moral, you can't do
just a historic film. Your bell end.
It's not a 10. Like, you can't do an historic film and just take out the fucking facts and just to please your own agenda or whatever it is. So it gets a 7 for me.
I do want to point out, I've given this a 6, which I think is a higher rating than I gave Highlander. But Highlander is like, I can't stop thinking of Highlander. I think I like Highlander better than this, but this is better than Highlander, if you know what I'm saying. So, Andy, what's your score?
I hate this film.
Oh, really? Okay.
I always hated this film. I don't know, even back when I was a kid, I seen this film for the first time, and I hated it. I was just like, this is long, this is boring. I don't give a fuck about Scotland. Oh my god! And it's just like, it made me anti-Scottish.
Scottish person.
Like it don't know. This film, just every single time I put it on, it just makes me angry. Every single time. But I love the battles. They're amazing. Mel Gibson's pretty good. I hate the word freedom because of this film. I absolutely fucking hate it. And yeah, I think this could be the most racist film ever made. So I'm giving it a 3.
Oh, that was a bonus point or not at the end there, the way he was talking.
No, it's definitely the most racist film I've ever seen in my life.
Can you define that or explain?
Yeah,
or
because literally, this is what everybody thinks Scottish people are. We don't
okay.
all run around wearing kilts.
Yeah.
We don't all run around just with our knackers and asses ready to be thingied. We don't all live in mud huts and stuff like that and have perfect teeth and shit. We don't go and put blue face paint and shit on all the time. And Haggis wasn't represented.
By the way for this.
Jade was insisting I do it, and I'm not putting blue face paint on. Oh, you should do it. I'm not blue face paint on.
But yeah, I don't all the way hate this film, but I don't know. It just seems like it's racist. Like it's white racism for Scottish people personified.
We do point out another. We point out xenophobic. Yeah, we point out in other films. We should point out not one black actor or Hispanic actor in this entire film.
It kind of makes sense because Scotland is the most racist country ever.
I mean, I don't think there were too many in the country at that time, but yeah, we do point out. There we go. 5 is the official rating for Braveheart, which I think is probably about right. I would say 5. It's we're not all self-hating Scots like Andy, but there's definitely room for improvement. I don't know if they would make
Highlander is near a perfect representation of Scotland.
I need to watch it. Honestly, the point is I'm just going to talk about Highlander the whole time.
Well, I was going to say, would this change your score if it wasn't for the fact that like the referendums and stuff, like because it overused the word freedom?
Nope, I hated it. Like before the referendum, there wasn't even a referendum. I hated this film. And like I said, and it is because I think it was one of the first holidays I went out on. It's just like, you know, like everybody's done it. You go on holiday. You get your either Scottish football shirt or your Scottish rugby shirt. You buy it. You're not even a fan. Like you wear it. You go.
I remember
on.
Spain being bad for that.
Aye.
We were on holiday.
And it's just like, no, you don't need to go and get some Scottish shirts. You don't have to be a prick. It's like, stop it. People don't give a shit that you're Scottish. It's like the English. They fucking do it as well. Yeah. It's just a national thing. Welsh, they fucking go and get their fucking dragon on and fucking fly a flag for their dragon. Irish, they're always drinking fucking Guinness. What is wrong with the United Kingdom? I don't see a Spanish person going out with a fucking like thingy hat on. Not
Mexican hat, what you were going to say.
What do you call it? The little gold thingy hats.
Ah, right, yeah. I don't know what you call it.
The matador hat and their cape. Yeah. You don't see them rocking that when they go on holiday. But for some reason, every United Kingdom country does it. So I don't know. This film just angers me because of that shit.
Yeah. That was the end of my theme, which was Scotland. It was literally done because I was picking Braveheart in episode 100. I am not sure if that's going to be the end of my theme, so whether I'll keep going or not. But I got there by the skin of my teeth. Thankfully, that Scottish actor was in 28 Days Later. I might have got Brendan Gleeson. He might have counted since he was in Braveheart. But that's us for season 5. Any end of season 5 thoughts that won't spoil the pointies at all? What's your Highlander's it for me? Like that. This season is I can't stop thinking about Highlander.
There's a lot of blank memories in this season. I can't think of it.
It's been a long season.
It has. I think
it's been a long season. I don't know why.
Yeah.
And don't tell them. It's seamless to the listeners.
I could not tell you, I think, half of what the films you guys picked. I know what I picked, but I have no idea.
I'm not going to look at either, so your quiz is going to suck for the pointies.
Well, the pointies is going to be absolutely amazing because there's films I can't even remember.
And the films I keep thinking we did this season that were last season. But there we go. That's the end of season 5. Before we get to the pointies, though, everyone's got a little special bonus episode coming their way. The best of 2021, where we count down our top 10 movies of 2021. There's actually 11 films again. But yeah, that'll come onto your feeds before we get to the pointies, which buys me a bit more time to get the pointies all sorted out into a nice streamlined 3-hour podcast.
Just the same length as Braveheart.
Yeah. For every minute there is in Braveheart, you'll get an award on the pointies. So that's what you'll find out next. So join us next time for the best of 2021 and keep your eyes peeled for the pointies on the 10 Point Podcast.